On this episode of Blending Bourbon, Dixon and I discuss the state of American whiskey and how it's not as simple as slapping a label and a story on a bottle to create a winning brand.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome back to another episode of Blending Bourbon. I am Dixon Dedman, 2XO Whiskey, joined as always by my dear friend, the owner and master blender of Golden Sheaf, and the guy who claims on his MySpace page to have the best cankles in the Midwest, Mr. David Mark Young. Hello, David Mark Young.
Hi, Dixon Dedman.
So I kind of pulled that one out of thin air.
I know, that was
I was
good,
not prepared.
Though. I liked it.
I was.
Now I'm going to have a complex. Me looking at my calves and my ankles in the mirror.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. It's a rainy day here in Omaha. I'm in Omaha.
It's like real summer here now. Like
Nice.
80s, sunny, muggy, and we're only getting started. But
Wow. Nice. Well, I was fortunate. I spent the majority of the week last week and the weekend on the East Coast, and it was summer. It was a beautiful weekend.
like chasing women, or were you working, or
Always working.
Yeah. Okay.
Who do you think I am?
I know you didn't pick up on it, but I wore the uniform. I don't have a V-neck, but I wore the
Well, I can go change. It's not
the
too late.
uniform. I didn't do my hair, and I don't know where I don't have any glasses, but I tried. I got parts of the
Take my glasses
David
off.
Mark Young uniform.
That's good. And then I can start to introduce you creatively. How's that?
We tried that. You were terrible at it.
I am horrible at it. Yeah. Yours are much
Yeah.
better. I mean, the bar is set extremely high.
Yeah, no, you're
And now,
if there's one thing you're not, it's an off the cuff guy. Like that's not your thing.
and I have cankles. Oh man, this episode is going downhill.
Yeah, but if you
rapidly.
listen to all the intros, you also have a belly button ring, and I mean you've got. Sorry.
my Beanie Baby collection, you can't even see it. It's amazing.
Oh right, I
It's
forgot about that one.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, you were a model for Paul Mitchell.
It's Mercado
true.
International.
That's true.
Yeah. No.
All right.
What are you drinking there, by the way? I saw you raise a glass.
I have some samples of these are single barrels of the double barreled high rye stuff that I am working through, that will eventually be the Gem of Kentucky, like the double barreled single barrel we're going to release in probably October.
Yay.
And I found one, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to bottle this one, and I'm going to take all of those cases and put them in my house for me," because it's
That good, huh?
it's just kind of a fun one.
Nice.
What are you drinking?
I am also drinking a couple of samples. I have some rye finished in white port and some bourbon finished in white port, but the rye is exceptional. It's pretty amazing. It's really good.
And these are to be released Golden Sheaf things, or they're
These
going
will
to be
be
part of things, or they're
Yeah, they'll be. So we're getting ready to release. We released the bourbon and port quite some time ago, but its sister version, the rye It's actually a weeded rye finished in red port cask. That'll be out late next week, actually.
Okay. Okay. In Omaha exclusively, like for like the nine people listening will need to go to Omaha to get
Yep.
that, or
Yep.
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, this will be a small batch. It'll be it's about 400 bottles.
Nice.
But this
How does
is
how does a brother get one of those? You know,
you gotta know a guy. I know a guy. I'll introduce you. We know guys. Oh, don't worry. I've got the little Dixon Deadman allocation set aside. It's, yeah, we'll make sure that you get.
I love it.
You get hooked up. But this is so the red port weeded rye finish will be out next week. This is rye finished in white port, and it.
Time out. First of all, what's the logo on that glass?
This is the Bourbon Capital Guild.
Okay. Secondly, I love those glasses. I have
Yeah, me
some. I think the ones I have are Willet. I think they gave me a set of 4 of those.
Nice.
I really love those glasses. What is that? What is that called? We have 6 people that watch on YouTube and 3 people that listen. But what is that? Do you know what that glass is called?
I don't know what it's called. No.
I love those glasses.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. I'm gonna look into getting some of these with the Golden Sheaf logo on them.
If I were to describe it for those of you who are just listening, it's like a Glencairn that you kind of smushed, and then you took the goofy ass foot off the bottom of it.
Right.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the
bulbous
kind of bulbous
base.
It doesn't have the base. It's kind of like a Glencairn that's smushed and it's a little more angled at the bottom of the bowl. But I think I love those glasses.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they're they remind me a little more of just like in the blending lab. We've got graduated cylinders and beakers and flasks and all the things, and it just reminds me a little more of that. Sort of resonates with the lab, but I don't know. I think I always...
What a lame ass comment. Sorry. It reminds me of my beaker and my graduated cylinder and my pipette. The pipette dips into my.
It reminds me. It's more chemistry-esque.
What are you talking about? All right,
You're gonna send me into the giggles here. No, I was going to say this. I think of this glass as being a little more American style. This is, even though this is kind of standard glass, you see these everywhere, tastings, and they are the most popular. But I always associate these with, European whiskey.
Okay, so
Scotch,
I have 2
Irish.
things to say to that.
Yes.
One is, and when I used to do all the tastings at the end, I had these great. I still have them. I don't know, they're somewhere in here, but I had these. They're like, I think they're 5 or 6 ounce wine glasses, like small, but just very basic wine glasses. Because if you know what's happening in a Glencairn or with a Glencairn, you're good. But if you don't, you're screwed. And we would have all these people who were, and they were just kind of like, that's what you do. You stick your nose in this glass. Well, the Glencairn glass, designed for European whiskeys, Scotch whiskeys, Irish whiskeys, very tapered nose so that it funnels the nose. Works perfectly when you're talking about an 80 proof, 90 proof Scotch.
Right.
You put 120 proof bourbon in this thing and somebody puts their nose all the way down in it And they're not going to smell anything for 2 days. Their eyes are going to water. Their nose is going to run, and whatever. I was one time at the Willett Distillery with some friends, and my friend Drew Colesveen, who's his family, his father Evan, and he and his sister own Willett. And Drew was like, "Oh my gosh, you got to meet this guy. Like he's here. You got to meet him." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Who is this guy?" And he was like, I can't remember his name. And so this guy comes over. "Hey, I'm so-and-so." I'm like, "Hey, I take that back. Drew introduced me and like, "This is so-and-so." I said, "Hey, I'm Dixon Dedman. Nice to meet you." And he starts talking, and I have no idea what he's saying. Like, he's speaking a different language. He's
Scottish.
Like, I don't know this language. I don't know what he's saying. And I was like, "Yeah, it's so nice to meet you." I'm looking at Drew like, "You can't translate. Like, what is what's happening?" And he's just like going on and on, and a lot of gestures and all this stuff. And come to find out, it's his family that like owns and they're the Glencairn family. They designed, but thickest accent I have ever come across. And then finally got to a point, and I was, and he could tell. He was like, "Oh, this dude has this hillbilly has no idea what I'm saying." And we got to this point, and we were having a conversation, and I was like, "I really appreciate the glass your family makes." And he's looking at me, he was like, "I really appreciate the bourbon you create." And we're having this, and it's like one of those, we were speaking the same language, but we were not speaking the same language. Nicest guy in the world, sent me a bunch of glasses when he got home. Really cool. Sorry, no idea why I got on that tangent.
It's a cool story.
Yeah, it's funny.
Me, Dixon.
That's exactly bourbon. What it was. Me, like glass.
Yum. Yeah, so Myerden, our producer, says it's a Glencairn made by Ark Cardinal. It's called the Kenzie Dram.
Yeah.
So
I got his card somewhere, and one time, we connected. He sent me a bunch with, it may have been my consulting logo on it, but anyway, it was, you talk about that, and then it got to the point I was like, can we had a couple bourbons, and then he slowed down it slowed down, and then I was like, "Can you just tell me a story? Like, can you read me a book? I love your
stroke my hair and read to me."
No, I get that a lot, and it usually comes when I've had a couple drinks, and we're like, I'm in whatever California, and people are like, "Hey, can you just talk for a little bit? I don't really care what you're gonna say. Just it's almost like."
Yeah.
Words sound funny coming out of your mouth. Like, and I didn't mean that way. Like, I just loved his accent. People do that to me a lot. They're like, "Can you just say that sentence again?" I'm not really paying attention to the words, but it's kind of funny.
Pasta carbonara. Good story.
My parents do that. They're like, "Yeah, we're going to this Italian restaurant called Giuseppe's, and it's like you don't have to do that.
You don't
like,
have to say it in that dialect. Yeah.
I had a
It's
ham
just
sandwich.
Giuseppe.
Yeah, I had a ham sandwich with provolone. It's
Provolone.
You don't need to do that.
Mamma mia. That's funny.
I have,
You know-
I have a rant. You want a rant?
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't know if we were going to talk about glasses the whole time. I mean, I'm a glass snob, so we can.
Oh
we
yeah,
can
let's talk more about glasses.
No.
No, what other glasses? My rant can wait. Go ahead. What glasses do you want to talk about?
Oh, there's a. Do you have a go-to? I mean, I've never really done this. I've never really done a glass test side by side. So it's interesting just right now as we're talking about it. I do. I love this glass. This is the Kenzie Dram. I love this a lot. But there are so many styles of glasses. I tend to change it up too. Just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. But yeah, I have a variety, to say the least, of glass types. And
I mean, I will drink anything out of anything.
here's this old boot we found.
You got it. I'll do it. If I'm I need that consistency. Like I need to know, and that
Yeah.
I could go get one, but I hate to leave. But like that, if I'm blending, I always use the same set of stemware, and they're actual stemware, not because I like put my pinky finger up and whatever, but it's just like I know what I'm getting there. I know that there's consistency. It's always funny is like, you sit down at a tasting or like, people are like, try this, like one's in a rocks glass, one's in a Glencairn, one's in a whatever, and one's in like,
Right.
I always, I try to eliminate anything that's gonna, cause you just can't,
It's gonna change.
So
Get different.
like when it comes time to blend, to taste, I always go back to this very generic, I think it's 6 ounce Libby glass. I mean, I have, I don't know, 6, 7 cases of them in the back. 'Cause that's what I used to use for tastings at the end. And I just like, I know.
Yeah, it's like looking at something from a different lens. It changes the perspective of how you.
Yeah, when I was a professional baseball player, I always you had to have like it's my glove. I couldn't use somebody else's glove.
Had to be the Dixon Dedman signature model.
Right.
Get it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
remember exactly what it tastes like too.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the ritual.
Yeah.
You don't lick your own glove.
All right, tell me your rant. Tell me your rant before I start pulling out glasses here.
I don't know. This could be funny to watch you pull out glasses, but
Oh man, I've got so many different types of glasses. I am.
Yeah.
I'm a glass junkie.
I
mean, it's not a good thing or a bad thing.
So about this, this little break from travel, which has been fantastic. Caught up on a lot of stuff, except for Ted Lasso. I'm not caught up on Ted Lasso, but I've caught up on a lot of stuff. Good family time, good, but what I have done over the last little bit is fielded, if that's a word, a number of calls.
It's a baseball term.
And it like consulting calls.
Sure.
And one of the things that I, because it's been a lot today, and man, could I tell some stories. But multiple conversations outside of today regarding future of American whiskey. What's happening in American whiskey? Where is American whiskey going? What is what does it look like? What are the challenges? Whatever. Like, okay, those are interesting conversations. Done some interviews with some writers and things like that about that. But I and that's great. I love it. I love trying to help people. I love trying to, and I'm very honest. As I was with you, I kind of call a spade. Like I'm not trying to make any money off anything. I'm honest. I'm upfront. Here's my opinion. Take it, leave it. I don't really, whatever. We're in a place right now in American whiskey. Sometimes I feel like everybody thinks this is the field of frickin' dreams. Like, if you build it, they will come. If you like, okay, well, I'm going to buy some barrels. I got this story. I'm going to put it in a bottle, and I am going to get rich as hell. I mean, and I've had this conversation. I keep having these conversations, and I keep, I know that the people who appreciate, what you've accomplished, what we're trying to do, all this stuff. Like, I know that everybody understands, like, the true bourbon person realizes this is really hard and it requires a lot of effort and money and luck, and you got to be kind of crazy and all that. But I swear, I mean, like, I'm inundated with these phone calls, and these people are like, yeah, so I got this guy and he's got a little money and he just wants to throw it at this thing, and it's going to turn into a gajillion, like 3 times today, 3 different calls.
Wow.
3 times a day, 3 different calls. I heard essentially, yeah, George Clooney, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, all of these people are just like, yeah, if I just put some shit in a bottle, I'm going to hit a home run just like George Clooney, Ryan Reynolds, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Right.
And I mean, I have to take a deep breath sometimes and be like, do you really think it's that easy?
Right.
Do you really think it's that simple?
I think some people do. I think that's why this podcast has been such a big hit, because it's transparent. It's showing things that people, and the timing couldn't be better, because when you look at, so I spent the majority of the weekend with family and folks that aren't in tune with what I'm doing 100%, from day to day, and they're not whiskey connoisseurs. And it was interesting, they'd ask questions and I'd tell the stories, and it was different telling the stories of kind of what I do. And, it made me realize more and more how unique this universe is, this community, market, whatever you want to call it. It's very unique. And I'm sure there's things out there that are like that, that somebody would talk about, that they're passionate about and they're really into, and I wouldn't have the slightest clue what they're talking about. But what I'm telling them that, about all the things that I do on a regular basis, they're like, so people like line up to go get bottles of whiskey, like to pay $100 or more for a bottle of whiskey. Like they're standing in lines to, do raffles, or they're paying, double, triple the price in the secondary market because they can't get it. They're just baffled. And, so for us to talk about it, it's just common knowledge, all the things that we do. But
maybe, but sometimes I don't think it is. Like, sometimes I think we take it for granted. For example, it's a conversation. One of the conversations today was like, look, you know, the way we do the math is, if we sell, I can't remember what they're saying, 5,000 bottles at $100 a piece, and we factor in and I was like, stop right there, because if you're selling 5,000 bottles at $100 a piece, it means that the shelf price, SRP price, is somewhere between $189.99 and $199.99.
Right.
Maybe a little bit higher. And they're like, well, why is that?
Margins.
It's like, you don't understand. You sell it to that $50 bottle on the shelf.
Right.
The producer sells that bottle to a distributor for about half that, sometimes less.
Right.
And they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, that's the cost of doing business. That bottle that gets sold off the shelf has been sold 2 additional times since it left you. It's sold to a distributor, then sold to a retailer, and then sold to the consumer. And there are markups and there are taxes all along the way. And they're just like, wow. Fascinating. Yep. I was like, yeah, do some research.
Or watch this podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, it blows me away. It's like, oh yeah, well I can do this. I mean, if so and so's bottle is selling for $140, then I'm gonna basically sell something for $120, and I'm just gonna say, well, it's cheaper than this one, and then I'm gonna be George Clooney selling my brand for $1 billion.
Right.
That's what's happened to me here in the last little bit, and I just, and I want to say, and then these people are like, yeah, well, here's what we want to do. What we want to do is kind of pay you to do all the stuff, and then because we have a name, it's going to help sell it. And so we're not really going to put up any money. We're going to find a partner that'll put up the money. They'll pay you. And then because we have a name, we'll just get rich off the fact that and it's like, you don't, is it really that easy from the outside looking in? I mean, I don't know that there are many businesses I look at and say, oh, I could get real rich real fast in that business.
Yeah, and if there are, then clue me in. So, if it's easy. Yeah, and that's the more complex it is, and I've dealt with the celebrity side of it, having a celebrity tied to, and then you get into the...
Are you talking about yourself in the third person?
Yes. Yeah. Back when David Mark Young... No. No, I'm speaking cryptically. I'm not speaking specific, but, dealt with that side of it, and there's more to deal with it. It's just more moving parts, and then you've got, a commitment there. Typically, there's a contract in place. You're paying royalties, whatever, whether it's per bottle or... giving up equity, there's so many different variables, but yeah, it's I think that's the allure.
Well, let me ask you this question then, because you're the guy, like you're the shopper, all the stuff, like you go everywhere. Yeah. Like, scenario number one, you walk into a liquor store, you go to the bourbon section. Hundreds of bourbons out there, right? Hundreds of bourbons out there. But you see one and you're like, oh shit, this says Harrison Ford on it. I love Harrison Ford. I wanted to be, I wanted to be Indiana Jones when I was a kid. I wanted to, I wanted to be, Han Solo. I'm going to buy this bottle.
Right.
You take it home, you open it, sucks,
You don't want to punch Harrison.
are you going to go buy another Han Solo bottle because it has Harrison Ford's,
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Admittedly, I do have some of those one and dones. They're just cool bottles, and for whatever reason, they look cool on the shelf or just something unique. But no, hell no, those are one and dones. They're gimmicks, and I get it, but there's no longevity there. It could be
I made this comment earlier, so this is where I'm going with this. So I'm sorry if I'm just hijacking the conversation.
Please do.
And maybe there are listeners out there who are going to be like, dude, you're totally wrong. But if I walked into a room and there was in front of me, there were 9 different tequila blancos on the table. Okay. I might be able to say that I like this one a little bit better than that one, or this one, but I don't know that I would be able to like, I don't know that they would be that unique and that different, and that maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but most of these brands are all sourcing from a handful of tequila producers, same producers anyway.
These are
Same
all white.
Thing. Bunch of añejos. Yeah, I like this one better than that one, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd take the challenge. I will take the challenge. And I'll put this challenge out there. You wanna put a bunch of añejos in front of us, you and I, and whoever else is a big tequila person. Could I taste one and be like, oh, that's Clooney's. Oh, that's Dwayne's. Oh, that's so-and-so's. Oh, that's... I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's happening.
Right.
Bourbon is completely different. You put a whole bunch of 4-year-old bourbons in front of people, and they are night and day different.
Right.
And so I don't think the celebrity cachet works in the whiskey world the way that it works in the agave space, if that makes sense. But I also I don't know why, I don't know why right now in bourbon it's like, oh, this is so easy, and it, you can.
I think because it's become so big, everybody just assumes it's that easy. Oh, we just need a bottle and a label and some juice and put it on a shelf. Mm-hmm. And it's all difficult. Every aspect of it is challenging. I don't know that there's any easy piece to it. Literally every time, every step of the way, there's some challenge. And I love it. I love problem solving. But navigating that path, and I'm also process oriented. So as I've been building this thing, I've been creating processes for, acquiring barrels, for example. We get a barrel in inventory. We've got a process for it. We incorporate it into inventory, document it, sample it, rate it, weigh it, all the things. But it's a challenge, distribution, sourcing, blending, bottling, labels, and I wouldn't do it if I weren't able to create efficiencies or gain efficiencies and create these processes that make it repeatable to be able to do some of this stuff over and over and over.
This is what I said today. And finally, I got fed up with one of these clients, and I was like, you know what? I pinch myself every single day.
Every day?
For the... I don't know how it happened. I have no idea how it happened. But they found me. They had juice. I had a brand. The thing worked. The thought of trying to find, outside capital to build something and having to manage all of the things through partners, through agencies. I found a partner who had that all in house, and had that not been the case, I don't know that we, could have ever even gotten where we are right now. It is maddeningly complicated. It is maddeningly complex, and every single time you turn around, something kicks you in the proverbial dick, as Ryan Cecil says. And I have just, like, the last 2 days have been on the phone and on these Zooms with all these people who are like, this is so easy. We just throw some shit in a bottle and put it out there and everybody buys it.
Right.
And then we all get super duper duper wealthy.
Right.
And I'm not taking any more of those calls for the rest of the week because I'm done with them.
You're highlighting I think a great, more in-depth discussion, and that's
and now I'm drinking more.
not just funding, but the creation, development, evolution of not just the brand, but the company behind it, and how all that comes together. Because you're highlighting the numerous ways that you can do this. There's that speculative. Yep, I just need a big name. I need a capital investment group or person, and then I need to source all this crap, put the puzzle together, and then sell a shit ton of it. So there's that way. I think that's a pie in the sky. But there's I find this very interesting, because if you look at some of these larger distilleries and the money behind it, money doesn't necessarily solve all the problems. You still got your your relationships and your supply chains, and your vendors. All of this takes cultivating and creation. You're creating this stuff over time. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not just a one-stop shop. Boom! All of a sudden, it spits out a bottle of bourbon. But I think it would be interesting to have an episode where we make a list. This is number one. I think it would be a good discussion to talk about truly behind the scenes, kind of the foundation of the company and sort of how that's come together. I'm happy to share that, about Golden Sheaf and the way that I approached it. Now it's we, and how we have structured the company, and even kind of the roadmap behind the corporation and that sort of thing, funding, that type of thing. I mean, I've not taken out a single loan. I've not taken on investors, and that
whatever. You're super rich. No one gives a shit.
I don't know about that.
Whatever.
I wish, Dixon Deadman. So that's one subject. I think number two, I think we ought to literally have a tequila. Have you ever heard of blending tequila? Is that even a thing? Blending tequila? I mean, I would imagine there's some blending of tequila happening.
Look, I've done tequila tastings. I paid out the nose for a no, how awful does this sound? But man, one of my favorite places in the world is in Epcot at Disney World. They where they have all the different countries, and in Mexico there's a tequila cave, and you can pay, and they put you through this, and it was phenomenal. And then we got into the nuance, and we started talking about distillation and entry proof and blah blah blah, blah, and like and all that, like where do your enzymes come from and blah blah blah. But fantastic. I'm just talking about your just everyday. We should do that. Let's do that. Let's we're gonna create a list, 6, whether they're blancos or añejos. You're gonna have to go buy them. I'm gonna have to buy them. We're gonna taste them side by side. We're gonna do it blind and figure out if we can tell the difference. And
I say we get George or even
we're talking tequila.
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, get George
Clooney.
Clooney. Yeah. We'll
I'll track down Clooney.
shoot him a text.
Yeah, he used
Or
to come.
Wahlberg.
He used to come to the inn all the time back in the
There you
day.
go. Let's get one of these
Get
tequila
his name.
moguls
Let
on
me
here.
hang on. I'll text Clooney right now.
George.
No,
George.
Look, here's the. I finally said this today. When you talk about the money, like money, and I remember Mark Carter told me this
Not Wahlberg.
years ago about the wine business, and then I've heard this said about the horse business, thoroughbred business in Kentucky, and now people say it all the time about the bourbon business. Do you know, David, do you know how to make a small fortune in the bourbon business? Do you know how to make a small fortune in the bourbon business?
Sell a shitload of bourbon.
Start with a large fortune.
Right. The rich keep getting richer. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
You make a small one by starting with a large one.
Yeah. Wow. That's good, Ted Lasso. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. We would have to put that on
Believe.
the title of this. Yeah. Believe.
All right.
That's
Sorry
great.
about my rant. Sorry if
No, that's good.
Seemed
You know, I wanna
distracted. I got a lot going on today. But
I know there's a lot.
good
I do
combo.
want to add real quick. You talked about Epcot and what was it? Tequila World or
Mexico.
so
Mexico.
in Mexico City. Have you ever been to Mexico City, the airport in Mexico City?
No.
There is a Tequila World. Have you ever been to Heathrow Airport in the UK?
No.
There's a whiskey world. It's incredible. I've got videos of this Tequila World, and it's like a gymnasium full of, it's like tequila heaven. It's unbelievable. And then same with
All right, well, then maybe everything I've said is just a lie. But we're going to get Clooney's ass on here to talk about it soon.
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, bro. Sorry.
Good talk.
Yeah. Listen, ice the cankles. Love you. Sorry. I was coming in hot today. I had a lot going on.
That's
I'm
good.
sorry.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
As always, like, subscribe, share, comment. We'd love to see your feedback. We'll see you next time on Blending Bourbon. Cheers.